and we'll get going. Okay, so share my screen. What I'm going to present today about is Screencastify. So Screencastify, if you haven't used it, is typically and will continue to be a free resource that is a Google extension. And we have the premium version for it. They opened it up last spring and we continued to get it throughout the remainder of the year. So we have some extra tools within Screencastify and no limits in terms of recording that the free version has. So on this presentation here, you can click on the Screencastify symbols if you want, and that will take you to the Google Chrome web store, and you can download Screencastify or add it to your Chrome. All students have access to this too. So when we talk about it, think about not only what you can utilize it for as a teacher, but also as a student. And that could be for bridge students, it could be for in-person students, or maybe even some that have just been quarantined for the time being or that are out. So here we get going. I'm Nick Williams. If I haven't met you before, the Director of Technology. Denise is on here. She was my former teacher and department chair. I was a science teacher for a long time at North. I've actually had a few of you as students that are jumping on here. So that's also kind of fun. But anyway, consider myself very much a teacher still. So we'll get moving with that. And you can email me if you have any questions regarding this resource too. I'd be happy to help as we move forward here. All right, so the goal of today is to get you to think about, can you use it? And then also, what can you use it for? What are the possibilities of it? I think, and talking to other districts too, this is by far the easiest screen capturing device that you can get. It's integrated with Google Drive and it's pretty intuitive to use. So hopefully, coming from a non-technical background, that you guys will feel the same as well. So this is magical. We're on a magical journey. I hope you like my slide presentation. This is what Common Sense Media has to say about Screencastify. Fun way to communicate with students, let students create and expand your learning environment, which is why hopefully some of you are jumping in today, is just to think about different ways to engage students in class or if they're virtual. So with Screencastify, there are three options essentially that you have. Tab recording. Tab recording is if you open up Chrome, then it's just that single tab you're on. So if you don't want your email in it, you don't want any other pieces in it, then you can just record your tab. And you can have a picture of yourself on it or not, depending on your comfort level with that. You can do the entire window, so your entire screen, and pick up everything. I typically use that because if a pop-up comes up and you're just doing tab recording, it won't capture it. So making sure that it captures everything that's on your screen, or you can just use it to video record. So let's say you just want to record yourself off of a Chromebook or off of your laptop or webcam, then you can just set it to video record, set it anywhere in your classroom, hit record, and it will record. It is not a live streaming device, so it's not something that you can just jump in, but it will record, and you can, again, upload it to Google and then share it out. All right, so kind of uses that we've seen, and I'll share resources out with it before we jump in. Why is it important? Is that you can use it to introduce yourself to students, help build relationships with kids, or have them share information back as well with their face and with your face, or you can just use it to instruct. So this is going to be outside the classroom, but we've had the hotline open for a few weeks now. If a bridge student is calling in, can't really figure it out, and we're trying to talk them through it, I could easily just jump on, make a Screencastify, show them how to do it, and then send that screen to them. Or if you're having a student with a particular issue, it's really easy just to throw together a 5-minute or even just a 2-minute video, send it their way, share it with them, and then they can see it instead of just trying to process that through text or voice. It's a good way to provide feedback. There's drawing tools in it and some other editing tools that instead of typing out whatever it is that you want to give the student feedback from, you can show them on the screen, you can talk about it, circle things, and give them kind of dynamic feedback other than just text. And then the video, again, feature just making sure you can record something in your classroom and then upload that into Google, and then you can also embed it into itslearning if you want. And then students have full access as well. Everybody in the district has premium access, so that's a nice feature. All right, any questions about Screencastify just in general, what it is? All right, so I've jumped out of the presentation because we're gonna show you how to use it. And I'm going to go through 3 steps or 4 steps of this is how you get started, and then the recording features, the editing tools, which are really simple and very good, and then how to share it out. So the first thing is to go to Screencastify. I'm going to go back up here and use this link to jump there. So when you go to screencastify.com or the Chrome Web Store, you add it and it's already installed up here. If you look on the top right here, it has already been installed on my device, but you can install it from here and it just takes a second and it'll pop up as this orange arrow on the top right. If it's hidden, then you click this gray puzzle piece and it will be in there, and that is your extension. So first thing is access, and again, you can share out this link and have people install it, students install it, or you can just do it for yourself, and you should have the premium version as long as you are logged in with your BCSC account. If you're logged in as a personal account, then it'll be the free version. Okay, everybody good there? Most videos are off. Thank you, Autumn. All right, so we have Screencastify installed. You're going to click on it. The first time it will send you through some tutorials. You have to accept permissions, pieces like that. So I've used this so much over the last 5 years that it doesn't have that anymore. You should see Unlimited up here, and that's going to show that it's the premium model. But these are your 3 options that we talked about before. Browser tab, and if I go to show more options, you can have the microphone on, which I guess you could record a screenshot without any sound. You can embed the webcam. I don't think this will let me use the webcam with Zoom, so I'm not going to mess with that and throw this off, but it will put your face in a corner and you can move what corner you want it in as you're recording your tab. And then the nice part is that it has a countdown, so you know exactly when it starts recording, and it's 3, 5, or 10 seconds. There's drawing tools, and then you simply just hit record. Desktop is essentially the same, except you're going to have a pop-up window that essentially is asking, can you share your whole screen? And you select yes, and then it goes. So that's what we'll show you here first. And then webcam is just the camera. Again, it's not going to let me do this while on Zoom, but it is essentially just your camera. You can select it here. If it doesn't show, it will still give a countdown and then record. So those are the 3 options. Very simple, not very many options, which I think is good because it's easier to use that way. And then you can get going here. So we're going to start by doing a screencast of this. So I want my microphone on. I'm going to do the entire desktop. Again, I do that in case pop-up windows start showing up, and then I'm in trouble. 5-second countdown, and you just click record. And then I'm going to select the window. It's going to count down. And now you're recording. So It's pretty easy. You can see it, the symbol up top is red. You will also have, it's unfortunately on my other window, says that it's recording, and then it's a little bar on the bottom, and you can either hide that or just select stop sharing when you're done. The tools are on the bottom left here. So you have a pointer that you can focus on. So it grays out everything and then makes a spotlight if you want to show, or again, kind of instruction wise, if you want to make it more of a point, you can turn that off. You can have a pointer essentially just not show up if you're at rest. So if I let the pointer just sit a minute, it'll disappear. Or the other option is having a highlight click. So if I click on that, it's going to put a little red circle around it and show that you are clicking. Sometimes hard to show on these when you're actually clicking or not. So I usually use that one. And then the marker tool, you can change color of pins, but let's say that you're grading something that a student's turned in and you don't want to type out your responses to them. You can say, you can circle things, you can talk about it, look at this, you missed a period here, you missed a capital letter, whatever it may be that you're teaching. If it's chemistry, you can write out formulas. It is a drawing tool. So there are, I would recommend probably using it with a mouse, but you can change color on it. And then erasing, it defaults at an individual eraser, but you can go to this box, which will wipe everything out. And that essentially is your drawing tool. So pretty simple again, in terms of pointer options, drawing and erasing, and that's those tools that you can use. So once you're done, and again, I can go back here and record whatever I need to record. I'm going to click stop sharing and then kind of show you what it does here. You'll notice on Screencastify up here, it has officially stopped having that red arrow. And then what it does is it will bring you into the editing mode part, the simple version of it. It will start playing automatically and it automatically mutes yourself. So I'm not going to unmute it because I don't want to hear myself talk twice. But you get a preview here. You can do simple edits here in terms of just clipping off the edges. So let's say I dilly-dallied too long at the beginning, then I can cut it down here and then save the trim, or cut it from this back half and save the trim. So that's a really nice feature, at least from this initial view. You can title it whatever you want up here, and that's what it'll show up in your Google Drive. So Screencastify test. Oh, the tools. I unmuted myself. So that will eventually be that what you can see right now to share out. So it automatically uploads into your Google Drive. So you can, at this point, copy the shareable link and then share it out. So that's one option right now, is it's that simple. You record a quick 1-minute tutorial for one student potentially, copy the link, send it to them, and they have immediate access to that feedback that you're trying to give them to. They are all listed as unlisted to begin with, but anybody can view it with the link. What it does in Drive is it creates a folder called Screencastify. So Screencastify folder is here for me, and then those videos get dropped in there. And then I have it named all of them, and it will just kind of keep that default name for you if you don't rename it at this point up here. So again, automatically uploads to Drive, which is nice. You can grab the shareable link here. You can rename it if you want, and then you can edit those clips from this point. And this works the same way, no matter if it's the video, no matter if it's the window or the tab features. This is all the same interface, so you don't have to mess with those very much. I'm going to take a breath here. Somebody, Brenny, was there any questions coming in?
Yes, Denise just had one and said that sometimes she notices that the tools aren't always available, like the drawing tools and erasers. Is there a general rule of thumb for knowing when you'll have access to those or not?
You know, Denise, I don't know. If you open it up on google.com, it gives you an alert that they're not available. So I don't know the code behind when it is or is not, but I can look that up to see if they have anything. That is a good question. I've noticed that too. So what Denise is saying is those tools, the drawing tools, aren't available essentially on every website, I guess, or interface that you're screencasting at that point. But that is a good question. Okay, so those are essentially, they all work the same again, and you get dropped into this form here. So if I want to go to a more in-depth editor, you can open an editor and it'll come in here. I actually have one open here because it may take a minute. So the in-depth editor will take the video and allow you to add several things. First, you can trim it, but you can also trim things out the middle. So if there's a middle section that you wanted to get rid of, then you can select the point at which you want it, cut it, and then it's essentially cut out. You also have cropping capabilities, and that is exactly what it sounds like. You highlight just what you want viewable of the screen, and then it will crop it. So the video then will be that more focused look instead of the entire screen, if you want. They also have a, what is this? A magnified look. So if I get to a certain point and then want to magnify a section, then I can magnify it way in and move it around to exactly where I want it magnified. And then as you play the video, it will zoom in on that point based on how much you zoomed in. So again, could emphasize something that you're trying to show them by editing it and zooming in to a certain point. And you can stretch this out for as long as you want, or keep it tight only for a few seconds. And then the last one is text. So you can add text essentially to any screen on here, and nice job. Whatever you'd like to add there. You do have to save it or export it again once you've done it. And you can export it to Google Drive. It just renames itself. So it'll keep the original version, but now you can call this an edited version. And it could be, you know, you can make these as many times as you want, depending on if a certain student needs that or not. Okay. So that is the in-depth editing tool versus the easy one that always pops up, and then also kind of how you access it. Are there any questions at this point? Okay, so the last part then of this is, let me get back to my organizational screen here. Recording features, that editing tool, zoom in, cropping, editing out middle parts, and then text is sharing it. So what do you do at that point? Like I said before, you can grab this shareable link, or you can publish to YouTube if you want, but I don't know why you do that, unless you have a page that your kids are using. You can also grab this embed code. So if you grab the embed code, I can just copy it here. Then in itslearning, if you're on a particular resource, let me add a content block here. So when you're doing this, you want to add a rich content block. And then you have two options here really that you can do. One note about if it's a long video, it does take a minute for Google Drive to process to get in video form. But you could just share the link. And in that sense, you would insert the link via embed code and paste the URL. So that would be me just copying the shareable link, putting it in the embed code, and then inserting, put it as a test. That will not embed the video and make it playable right here. It'll actually drop them out to Google Drive and let them play it, which could be fine. The other way to do it is if you click the source code, and Brenny, there may be another way to do this, but this is what I've been messing with. And then copy the embed code, copied, and then you just paste that in there. If you don't have anything else in there, then it's pretty easy. And then this one will drop it in an iframe, and you can play it straight from there. And this one's still processing. So here's one that I uploaded earlier. So in this case, they can play it right from the window. And then this is the embed code versus, or this is just dropping the link in that embed tool versus putting it in the source code with the embed. So this will click it out to another link. This one will play it right there. Or if you just need to share it with one student, then just grab the link, share it with the kid and with the student, and you should be good to go. Okay, is there a question in there, Brenny?
Not a question, just a thought on how to use it. I will say though, if you are wanting to have videos that you've made for students, maybe it's just you explaining where to go in a lesson or giving them instructions for the day. I used to publish mine to YouTube mainly because I wanted to have closed captions automatically made for me in those videos. So if you do publish it to YouTube, it makes those closed captions for you. I wouldn't probably publish any feedback that you're giving students to YouTube because that's very personal and private to them. But if it's for a lesson resource, I would totally do that. But just fair warning, if you do publish it to YouTube, number one, you have to have your YouTube account linked to your Screencastify. You set it up one time and you're good to go. And by default, whenever you upload to YouTube, it always sets it as a private video. So make sure that you toggle that setting when you're publishing it so that it's either unlisted or public. Otherwise, the students can't see it.
That is a great point. Google, if those videos are embedded in Google Player, then they're not going to close caption at all. So you essentially don't even have an option to add them at this point in the world of Google. Okay, so some other things that I just want you to think about. We're running short on time here, but think about in terms of your in-class students and your out-of-class students, how you can utilize Screencastify. I'm not going to ask you to share out at this point, but think about how it can help engage those students, provide meaningful feedback, or at least give a more engaging way to show them or instruct them in some way. And then also, again, students have access to all of this. So you could potentially just have your students at it and then their ability to walk you through something as well on video. And they don't even have to show their webcam, but it's nice that they could record their screens and then share it back with you. It could be an option for your students on some type of assessment that you're looking at. And then again, if you grab the link in the chat, some resources that we have for you are, again, this has been around for a long time, this tool. We've used it in BCSC for quite a long time. So there's Screencastify built-in resources. Those are kind of the first two. They've put together 50 ways to use it in the classroom and then have some free resources. They have a blog, some other things if you want to dive into it. Ditch That Textbook has released 24 ways to create great classroom videos. It's a mix of feedback and students creating those videos. And then Control-Alt-Delete is another kind of good resource out there that has put out something with Screencastify, some tips for remote teaching. So this is one of those tools that has a free version. So a lot of teachers have used it in the past. We've used some money to get it to everyone. So hopefully that you guys can kind of take advantage of that and then that's essentially it. Before we close here, are there any closing thoughts or questions? You can drop in the chat or ask Brenny or myself. How many of you have used it before? Thumbs up? A few of you? All right. And in my opinion, out of using several different types of screen capturing ones, this one by far the most seamless and easy to use over anything else that we've tried, including other extensions that have been thrown out there. Okay. All right. Well, I am going to end this session. Thank you for dropping in and listening. And then I think Brenny is on a different link. So if you are going to hers next, then you can use the email she sent out to get there. But thanks for stopping by.